So, today we're gonna go through Suggest Me a Book, Reddit. Why am I going to go through this? Makes sense, the sentence. No, I do kind of want to read a bit more, and I am willing to spend a bit more time reading, I'd say. As strange as it may sound, but I think that reading may be one of the things that make sense to me and seem to be productive, especially when it is about something, kind of non-fiction related, even though I think that reading something non-fiction could also work really quite fine for me. I do have big issues with creating a life and just dealing with daily life and being satisfied with it. I do just do my shit. I could just actually put way more effort in it, which is probably then gonna take me way longer, but I am also quite into preserving my energy and really not killing myself. And it is some kind of a, vicious cycle of death, I'd say. And I've actually also realized that my whole life is a vicious cycle of death, me working out and me exercising, giving me the proper energy, and also not only energy, but also the conditioning and the ability to sustain a certain state for quite a long time makes me just be in a certain state of being, for example, exhausted, doing way too much, and so on and so forth, really, really often. And it makes it also pretty likely for me to do so. In the end, one has to realize, and this is a pretty big outcome for me and a pretty big thing for me, even if I've been talking about it before, but it always depends on how you think about things, By thinking and by structuring your day and by just, changing your perspective, you can make sense out of your life and you can create purpose just by thinking, just by not necessarily doing anything different, which, on one hand can also be a bad thing if you kind of use this quote unquote power for just feeling good about yourself doing nothing. But this is not necessarily going to be the case for those people that are struggling with the same thing as I'm struggling with. I do quite a bunch of shit, and I'm also trying to do quite a bunch of shit, and I'm also going through life doing quite a ton of hard things, or rather difficult things. But the problem is, if I don't think that it makes sense, then it is useless, everything that I'm doing. And I'm basically hurting myself just so tremendously that I had to change it, and I have to change it. It's still something that I'm working on. I am still kind of trying to see ways in which I can reprogram my head and restructure things. But yeah, the whole point of the story is your perspective makes or breaks everything, whatever it might be about, whether it is actually about your thoughts and or about relationships and or something kind of, physical. Well, books that got you through a thick fog of anxiety / panic / big sadness / made you feel like things are going to be okay, stepping into a huge new part of life, and am horrible at coping with change. Let's actually see what people suggested. The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walch helped me to understand that domestic abuse from a parent who's an alcoholic is actually quantifiable. Helped me deal anxiety of feeling very alone about being estranged from my parents. I read it in a college class, and many of my classmates had very happy childhoods and attachments, and reading this made me feel much less anxious and sad and alone. I read that in rehab. Great book. What an amazing suggestion. The only NF books that I swear by. The only NF books. I just think about the artist, about the rapper, NF. Maybe he wrote about it, rapped about it, whatever. Strangely enough, I felt like everything would be okay when I finished Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. Came here to recommend this, just finished it up about a week ago, and it gave me a sense of peacefulness. Reading about someone pulling themselves out of a deep depression encouraged me to start doing the same and do better than things and do better things for myself. I was about to recommend this one too. This was the book that made me realize I needed to process my trauma in a good way. 2 books that I've always got to: The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle, one of my favorite books. It is so magical and has the most beautiful ending. And A Ring of Endless Light by Madeline L'Engle, I guess. This is a YA book, but it deals with coming to terms with death, and is always a book I turn back to when I need a sense of hope. It's part of a series, but can be read as a standalone. It does talk about God a fair bit. The main family is Christian, but it never feels preachy, which I think is very important. The Murder Bot, Diaries by Martha Wells, helped me go through an episode of The Big Sad last year. They are fun, immersive novels with an anxious and depressed human/robot MC, or main character, who is very relatable. Tiny Beautiful Things by Gerald Strait. Tiny Beautiful Things, Advice on Love and Life from Dear Sugar by Gerald Strait. There's actually a comment, Goodreads, but is this kind of meant to be like that? Could be the case. Would actually be quite a great plugin to kind of be able to show off books in a very, 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 very easy and usable way. Anyway, so by Gerald Strait, 354 pages, published in 2012. Popular shelves, non-fiction, self-help, memoir, essay. Life can be hard. Your lover cheats on you, you lose a family member, you can't pay the bills, and it can be great. You've had the hottest sex of your life, you get that plum job, you muster the courage to write your novel. Sugar, the once anonymous online columnist at the Rumpus, now revealed as Gerald Strait, author of the best-selling memoir Wild, is the person thousands turn to for advice. Tiny Beautiful Things brings the best of Dear Sugar in one place and includes never-before published columns and a new introduction by Steve Orman. Rich with humor, insight, compassion, and absolute honesty, this book is a balm for everything life throws our way. Come here to recommend this. Came here. I regularly gift it to folks when they're going through a rough time. So it might be a good one. The Tower of Pooh is a book that's got me through some stuff. I don't think it is a cure-all by any means, but it is good. Leaf of Grass, a collection of Walt Whitman's poetry, is also a great pick-me-up. He's perfectly encapsulated the worth of the everyman. Tao Pooh, or Poe, could also be the case, P-O-O-H, is great. I read that when I was reading my kid Winnie the Pooh stories at bedtime. Strangely enough, Good Omens. As mentioned in another comment, anything by Gaiman can usually work. I'm a big Pratchett, P-R-A-T-C-H-E-T-T fan, and find that his dry sense of humor and deep understanding of how the mind works really helps me see things in a more humorous and less anxious way. It is my go-to book. Alternatively, are there any childhood stories books which you find easy to read and reread? I'm gonna second this. Well, I'm actually quite interested in Gaiman, big Pratchett. Whoever this is, but I'm gonna find it out. Sir Terence David John Pratchett, OBE, was an English humorist, satirist, and author of fantasy novels, especially comical works. He is best known for his This Quirl series of 41 novels. Pratchett's first novel, The Carpet People, was published in 1971. Well, I'm interested, I really am, because I do quite enjoy some fantastic things, meaning fantasy stories. But yeah. Interests: computing, natural history, amateur astronomy, Terry Pratchett First Novel Award, Sir Terry Pratchett Memorial Scholarship, awards and honors, books. Let's see. Pratchett won the British Science Fiction Award in 1989 for his novel Pyramids, and a Locus Award for Best Fantasy Novel in 2008 for Making Money. Pratchett won the 2001 Carnegie Medal from the British Librarians, recognizing The Amazing Maurice and His Educated Rodents as the year's best children's book published in the UK. Nightwatch won the 2003 Prometheus Award or Prometheus, however you pronounce it in English, I fucking don't know, for best libertarian novel. I Shall Wear Midnight won the 2010 Andre Norton Award for Young Adult Science Fiction and Fantasy, presented by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America, or SFWA, as a part of the Nebula Award ceremony. Writing. Pratchett said that to write you must read extensively, both inside and outside your chosen genre, and to the point of overflow. He advised that writing is hard work and that writers must make grammar, punctuation, spelling a part of your life. Yes, I'd say so as well, and this is something that I thought about as well regarding my poor spelling and punctuation skills. And so I thought, well, when I'm texting somebody, wouldn't it make sense to also properly spell and properly punctuate things? And yes, it does make sense, you know? The thing is, the really big thing is, as well, good punctuation makes or breaks a fucking sentence. And I hate it. Well, hate is a pretty just big word, but I really dislike it when I'm reading something and I do not understand it at first sight just because the punctuation is off, you know? Just because a comma is just not there, you know? Not even there, or some dash is not there. Like these things, and also exclamation marks and whatnot, and those 3 points, so ... they also have a word, I just don't remember, but they can make things way more readable. You know, the readability just increases by 100-fold. It's insane. Fantasy genre. Although during his early career he wrote for the sci-fi and horror genres, Pratchett later focused almost entirely on fantasy and said it is easy to bend the universe around the story. In the acceptance speech for his Carnegie Medal, he said, "Fantasy isn't just about wizards and silly wands, it is about seeing the world from a new direction." Pointing to J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter novels and J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, in the same speech he acknowledged the benefits of these works for the genre. Can I just have a look at all of his books, please? Would be nice. Isn't there... Oh, there we go. terrypratchettbooks.com. Our book of the month, Moving Pictures. Does this mean that he wrote just such a ton of books? The Discworld, where to start with Discworld, The Long Earth, Younger Readers, short stories, dramatizations, standalones. Welcome to the Discworld, a parallel time and place which might sound and smell very much like our own, but which looks completely different. I do see some strange creatures, some walking chest. Well, yeah, not just my chest, but that chest, a treasure chest. Standalones, where to start with Discworld. Whoa. Are they all Discworld? No, they aren't. Nah, they aren't. Would be strange. Or is it? Snuff. Raising Steam. They all kind of feel guards. Well, let's get back to the subreddit, because I do want to go through another one. I just not only want to go through books that got someone through thick fog of anxiety. Recommendations for someone trying to get comfortable with silence. A cozy, comforting book. Wanting a shorter book with an explicitly bisexual male protagonist. Books that are so immersive it feels like you're in a story. What should an English teacher read? What's the most exciting and fun book you've ever read without the book becoming silly? Books like The Midnight Library, a cozy, comforting book. Please try not to spoil the books you suggest, as they are easily spoiled for me. by They Make It in the End or No One Dies, etc. Just the title and why I liked it is good. I just read a lot of non-so-cozy books. 1984, which I thought was pretty great, even though I didn't understand it just a bit when I was reading it. Anyway, I'm now having nightmares of being watched or being sold off to slavery. Sounds great. I thoroughly enjoyed these books, but I need a break, especially after A Parable of the Sower. I'm currently reading House in the Cerealum Sea, and this is functioning as a good remedy. I need more like it before I dive into the sequels to Handmaid's Tale and Parable of the Sower. I need the books to be stimulating in ideas and language, or I get bored. I don't mind death or dark themes, but I need a break from overly tragic themes at the moment. What I'm looking for, not too much rape and death. Goes well with a morning coffee, goes well with a tea in bed, makes you feel warm in the winter, nor a little romantic or sexual tension that children are not mentioned at all. Well, The Secret Garden is one of my top comfort books since forever. I find it helps hopeful, but not in an idyllic fairy tale way. If you like audiobooks, I would suggest Warsaw Gummidge as read by John Pertwee. It is a children's book for being a pretty simple concept for some reason, blah, 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 blah. You probably already know this, but just in case you don't, there is a Warsaw... Oh, yeah, that is. I'm currently reading this aloud with my... Yeah, I don't care. Read with them. Seconding A Secret Garden, Frances Scott Burney is my go-to when I need deep comfort. Also a fan of her A Little Princess. I just read Anna of Green Gables for the first time, age 27, and it was totally this book for me. So lush, cozy, heartwarming, rapturous. I don't fucking know what it means, but it kind of sounds off. There's barely a plot, but the characters are so vivid, and the character and relationship development was more than enough to keep me invested. So good, do yourself a favor and watch the CBC miniseries adaptation of the book from the 1980s. Let's see another one. Howl's Moving Castle. I haven't seen anyone recommend this book about Jeeves, Jeeves by P.J. Wode House yet. If you're into humorous turn-of-the-century English gentleman problems, then these books are for you. They go perfect with both breakfast and tea. It's the ultimate problem-solving butler and the gentleman wooster. Yeah, I do hope that I'm able to share some books and some thoughts with you. If you're not into reading, this is also fine. I am not too much into reading as well. I've read a bunch of books in my life. A bunch of good ones. I have also started reading some and haven't ended them. But yeah, I think they can be pretty cool. Can be pretty interesting to read a book just for the sake of reading a book, period. You know, might be digital, might be in print. Some prefer this over that. Bleep blah blah. I don't really care about that. Yeah. I like affordable things. Let's put it like this. Gonna see you the next time. Bye bye.